apologize for nothing. I didn't call anybody out, okay? I wasn't putting anyone on blast. What I was doing was having a very excitable evening because I had such a stellar day. I was so energized by the day that I still had that energy going into the evening leading up to our live stream. So a lot of the times I can talk faster than most people can comprehend what it is that I'm saying. I got used to talking really, really fast when I was younger because being in a household full of people that are very, let's say, argumentative, or that always have to have a word in, sometimes the only way you can get a word in is if you were going to say whatever you were going to say, but say it fast and do so quickly so they can move on with whatever their conversation was. So as a child, watching your parents talk about something, if you interjected, they'll say, "What, child, what?" Just say what you're going to say, because obviously they had something that they wanted to discuss. So you better have said whatever it was you were going to say and do so quickly so you can get your point across to move on, right? So sometimes I talk too fast in my videos. I get that. But I wasn't putting anyone on blast, okay? I don't have any issues with any of my coworkers. A lot of the coworkers that I have now, they're reestablished relationships from the past. I've seen a lot of different videos from various different YouTubers talking about the flat rate system. And I've heard a lot of different people in the comments saying how they're on flat rate. The frustrating part is to know that there are certain people that are flat rate that had an issue with last night's video. Because if you're truly on flat rate, you already know that it's the hours that you produce is the only hours that you're actually getting paid for. Okay, now unfortunately for them, that's how it works. For me, it's a little bit different, right? Because we have a baseline pay, and then it builds up based on how productive you are throughout each and every single day, week, pay period. I've been a part of this West Coast system for a decade, okay? Nothing changed between the way I was paid from the time that I was in Oregon to the time that I came down to SoCal to be a wrench, okay? When I first started off, even as a lube tech, okay, minimum wage up in Oregon at that time, I believe, was around $7.25 an hour, if I'm not mistaken. And our pay as a level 1 lube tech, or an entry-level lube tech over at Paulys Auto Center, our baseline pay was $5.15 per hour plus commission. If you did not meet or exceed your 40 hours in a 40-hour week, you got paid minimum wage. Now, if you could get your hustle on and move your legs and be quick about things and not lollygag, then you could average as high as you wanted to average so long as you were actually getting the work done. Obviously, you have to be efficient. Obviously, the job has to be done and go home in order for you to have those hours. Because if the job comes back, guess what? You're doing it for free, right? So you learn to be pretty efficient at a younger level when you're starting out as a lube tech. My average at Paulys Auto Center, granted the pay scale being $5.15 base pay plus commission, minimum wage being $7.25, so if I couldn't do 40 and 40, all I was going to get was $7.25. My average was between $14 and $15 an hour, 2 times the amount of that state minimum wage. Now, how did I do that? By doing the same things that I'm doing now. Nothing has changed, okay? So you're messing with a guy's paycheck. So when I'm talking when I was talking in last night's video, and I was like, I had said that I was a little frustrated because people wanted to stop and chit chat or stop and literally stare at me while I was trying to pull in, and me being frustrated and saying, move, 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 move. I wasn't doing it to be rude, but I'm on a mission, right? Okay, so I've been a part of this pay scale for a while. You might not be in that same exact pay scale. You might be getting whatever the minimum wage is or whatever. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 12. I don't know what it is. But if you're part of that and that's all you're getting currently until you can get your levels and until you can get into that part that offers you that commissional bonus, you're probably not going to understand the momentum that I had going for the day and what the end of the pay period means, what the end of the month means. There are certain things to those of us that are on a slide scale, or if you're on a true flat rate scale, you probably already understand where I'm coming from about not wanting to waste a lot of time socializing, you know, for 10, 20 minutes, sharing stories back and forth, or hanging out next to the coffee pot, or hanging out in the lounge, or smoking and joking in the smoking pit, right? A lot of you guys that are on this sliding scale or true flat rate scale know that you only have so much time in a given day to get as much work done efficiently as possible. And if you can be efficient and remain productive throughout each and every single day, you could make 2, 3, 4, however much more you want to make is up to you. It's based on your productiveness. You're not being very productive if you're in the coffee clutch, if you're in the smoking pit, if you're in a little socialization ring that's standing in front of the open bay of the guy that actually is trying to work and get his job done. I'm sorry, the way that I look at things is I'm a very social and very interactive person. But there are certain times that I'm social and interactive. Those times are usually just before I clock on, during my lunch, and once I'm off the clock at the end of the day. I think a handful of people really missed the whole point of last night's video discussion topic, and I really feel like a lot of people truly don't understand the flat rate side of things or the West Coast sliding scale of things, okay? I've been asked by my younger guys since I've been at the dealership how to keep track of their hours. How do they know how productive they're going to be? How can they work their way up to the next pay scale, or how can they produce more income, and how is it that I'm able to get so much done? I'm able to get so much done because of some of the pieces of advice that I've been sharing with you guys here on the YouTube, okay? And I think a handful of people that are truly a part of this West Coast sliding scale or the flat rate system can agree with a lot of the things that I did discuss. I'm surprised at how many people don't understand where it is that I'm coming from. I'm surprised that these people that said they wish that they could afford like a Snap-on toolbox, or they wish they could afford that Snap-on scan tool or something like that, and they're not sure how they can get there because mechanics don't get paid well because they get all shifted with all this warranty stuff, or they don't have, you know, enough time in a day to get as much done. I get how the warranty stuff works. The warranty stuff can kill your time until you learn how to be more efficient and can get it done in a timely manner. But there are certain things that will eat your time up that are not related to the job itself, and those things are social interaction, okay, or milling around, or not being, you know, not moving with a purpose and going to get those keys, not going to get the next RO, you know, taking too many breaks. I think a lot of these things will kill your time. I have a way different mentality when it comes to my workload, okay? I am not opposed in taking pieces of advice from those that have been doing it longer than me. I'm not opposed to taking advice from somebody that's still a younger tech that can clearly do things a little bit more efficiently that I have not done yet, okay? I'm not opposed to that. But if I'm already in rhythm and flow and I am not running into any issues where I need assistance, I don't feel like that's an appropriate time to come up to me to try to share with me your story or the way that you do things. If I really wanted to know, I'm sure that I would have asked ahead of time, or that we could have talked about it during lunch. That would have been a more appropriate time to do that. So if you want to know how this whole sliding West Coast scale works or flat rate works, try talking to the guys that are actually making money in those types of pay systems, okay? If you are just an hourly guy, or you're pretty content with whatever the minimum wage standard is or the base pay standard is, then that's fine. That is totally up to you. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be content. And I'm not saying that you should rush every single job either, because obviously sometimes when you rush a job, you really end up taking longer than it should because you have to go backwards and fix something that you moved too fast and you forgot something, right? And I've had this happen. I was actually talking with a tech that offline after work for about an hour or so about one of the times that I had moved so fast that I had screwed up. This was a couple weeks back, but I had told him of the story of where I was moving so fast that I completely screwed myself time-wise. So at the independent shop, there was this Cummins diesel transmission that I had to remove, right? Everyone knows the little camber tool that you have to use. And I had stuck that camber tool in there. And you know how long it takes to rotate the entire flywheel over. The job paid 6 hours. I had the old one out and the new one in about 3. And then I went to put the tool in and I could not turn anything. And when I went to reach back to grab my flashlight, there was the flex plate. Ugh, right? So I had to come all the way back apart to put the flex plate back on to go all the way back together, and the job ended up taking me 7 hours. But see, I was cooking, I was booking, I was zoning, and I had got distracted by whatever it was at the time, and I missed that crucial piece that I needed for the job to be complete within that time frame. Had I not forgot about that piece, I would have killed it, man. I would have killed it, right? But I was moving, I was grooving. I had my beats on and I was in the zone. So yeah, sometimes when you're going too fast, it could bite you. It could bite you. I'm not gonna lie, okay? It does happen. These things happen. And sometimes as mechanics, we joke with each other, okay? See, we talk a lot of trash as mechanics. We're no different than fighters, which is why I did the Conor McGregor reference in the beginning. We talk a lot of trash to each other, okay? But it's really kind of there to kind of motivate and get the person going. Obviously, if you could tell that they're irritated, that's not a time to talk trash to them. But if you're just trying to pick up their spirits a little bit, sometimes a little bit of trash talk goes a long way. You know, it really does. We've had moments where like someone's like, oh, hey, here's a trans job, but don't forget that flex plate. Like that would happen over at the independent shop. So it was a joke. It's an ongoing joke, but it's a trash talking joke. You take it in stride, right? You take your licks and you just kind of got to laugh about it sometimes. And we had this one guy that, at the independent shop. I don't know if he's retired now or not. He was an older guy. It seemed like it took him, I think like 3 days or a week to pull this dash out and put it back together. So I'd always make the joke if he wanted me to bring my sleeping bag in to loan it to him so that way he could camp out since he was on that job for so long. It's little things like that, you know, and it really just makes everyone laugh. It makes you kind of laugh because you know you got hung up. It's just, look, we talk trash, man. It's just the way that it is. I'm sorry, there's too many sensitive people here on the internet that don't understand. They don't understand how mechanics joke around with one another. And that's like how, like I said, it's a fighter's reference, right? People don't understand how they talk so much trash, but then they could still go out and hang out and have a beer afterwards. That's just the way that this industry is, man. Okay, it's an individual sport. It's your individual paycheck. So I think a lot of crucial points were missed yesterday. I apologize for nothing. Okay, I think what I said was fine. I didn't, you know, there was no call outs. I wasn't trying to make anyone mad, but clearly there's a lot of snow bunnies on the keyboard out there that must have missed something. But look, this is an individual sport, okay? And it's up to you to be as productive as you possibly can. And then, hey, then you can afford that snap-on stuff, right? So it's like, yes, if you can't afford it in the beginning and you're only getting that minimum wage and that's your hourly and all you can afford is Harbor Freight, ain't nothing wrong with that. I used Harbor Freight for years. I still use Harbor Freight, okay? If you can move up to where you're in a little bit of a sliding scale now and you can make a little bit extra, then that'll help you to maybe buy some of those mid-range tools to replace the ones that were cheap that broke on you, right? And then once you really start learning the system and once you really start learning the product line or at least that vehicle, then you can make extra time up. Now you can afford the higher end stuff, okay? Now we was talking a little bit about it last night, me and Nuts and Bolts with Tone. There was a little bit of hypocrisy he'd said because, you know, we was discussing about like how to charge for diag time versus how to charge for repair time and how these things differentiate, or do they, right? And so I was saying, you know, for diag time, if I already know that one thing is a pre-existing condition that's just notorious, that happens on every single one that comes in, and it's just a real quick kind of thing, or there's already been a recall that says, hey, if you open the hood and you see this is notoriously what the problem is, do you really charge the 1 hour? I had said no, I thought that was a little bit unjustified. But there are certain repairs that I can do, like on certain like transmission jobs or something like that, like the one, if I wouldn't have screwed up and I got it done in half the time, should you really charge the full 6 hours? And I had said, yeah, because I was moving, cooking and booking, and there were certain tools that I used to my advantage to get that job done in a timely manner that cost me money, and I had to make up for it somehow. And that's kind of where there was a little bit of hypocrisy, I suppose, on my part, because if you have a scan tool and you have to open the hood or plug anything in, you paid for that scan tool, so you should probably charge accordingly. Yeah, I think that is going to be up to the person itself. Okay, and I don't think that I can't disagree with what he's saying, but it's just the way that I look at it, I guess, a little bit differently. So yeah, maybe a little bit of hypocrisy. Okay, where I think, yes, absolutely, for the R&R, your time is your time, and if you can shorten it and still make that time, great, right? But I feel like on certain diagnostic stuff, yeah, there are going to be times that you're going to eat 3 or 4 hours, and you're only going to get 1 hour to diagnose it, especially at the independent shop level, okay? Because there, you kind of promise the customer you can fit it in within that time frame. Really hard to go back and ask for more time, since they're already coming to you for a reason. They're coming to you because you were cheaper. And because you are cheaper, you're hoping you can maintain them as a customer by doing them a solid and spending that extra time. And in fact, sometimes it's a learning curve, right? It's just like doing a warranty job. In the beginning, you're not going to get that warranty job done in the 3/10 that it pays. Might take you an hour. But then eventually, you learn how to get it done in the 3/10, and now you're just meeting it at that time. I hope this video kind of helped put things in better context, okay? Because I know I could talk too fast. I know a lot of times people don't listen to it all the way to the end, or they'll just skip to. Again, last night's video was not about anybody in particular. It wasn't putting anyone on blast. It was just, I was having a very excitable day, and it was crunch time, man. It was crunch time. So it is what it is, man. That's all I got. Look, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Cheers, and we'll see you next time. Deuces.